afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday, TGIF. It's Ann Marie Sorrell, and I'm bringing you another episode of Tea with Ann Marie, where I am spilling the tea on all things business, politics, and community happenings. And as we talk about community happenings, I have a very special guest today, Ms. Nikisha Williams. Welcome.
Hello, hello. How are you?
It's Friday.
Thank God. It's been a long week.
It has been, but every week is a long week. But at the same time, it's flying by. I was just saying, oh my God, it's the last work day of February.
Oh man.
Let's think about that.
Way too quickly. It happened way too quickly.
Way too quickly. So this year seems to be flying by because we're going to be entering the last month of the first quarter next month. So for all my business folks out there and anyone with any type of goals, you got one more month in this quarter to make your first quarter goals happen.
Thanks for that reminder.
Definitely. So Nakisha joins us from the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade. And I see that you're also the COO for the Opalocka Community Development Corporation.
Yep.
So welcome on Tea with Ann Marie. We just have a conversation, us girls. If I do have guys as guests, me and him. And we really just, have a conversation about what's happening in the business community, what's happening in politics, and what's happening in our community, and how people can get involved and engaged. So I'm so happy that you're here to join us. In your words, tell us who you are. Give us your background.
Yes. So Nikisha Williams, as you mentioned, I am lucky enough to be able to work in my community at the Opalocka Community Development Corporation. So I am a Miami native and I go 3 generations back. So I like to say that I'm a unicorn in that respect. There's not enough of us locals who are still here. There's plenty, but still, not not proliferating as many. And so my family is from the Bahamas, but like I mentioned, been here for 3 generations. I am lucky enough to work in the community in which I was raised. It's the community that my dad was born and raised in. And so our organization, we are a traditional community development corporation, in that we run the gamut. We do everything from affordable housing development to workforce development to economic development through our small business support. In addition to that, we're working very closely with families. So we do family services, a lot of care coordination. We do financial empowerment, financial wellness. I'm sure I'm missing some things there, but at the end of the day, what I like to say is, we're really working to reduce poverty and increase prosperity in our communities.
Well, that's a big torch to carry. Reduce 2 big torches, reduce poverty and increase prosperity in our community. And that is definitely an ongoing push. There's so many, not so many, but there are organizations, and I'm happy to see more people and organizations really stepping up to look at not just how we eliminate poverty, but how we increase prosperity, how we increase wealth, and just the overall economics in our communities, especially our Black and Brown communities. So before we dive in, this is Tea with Ann Marie. So I am having a ginger turmeric tea. I'm going to show off my Cannabiziac cup. Make sure you guys go to cannabiziac.com. Check us out. What are you sipping on?
So I have a green tea here. So I am such a fan of tea. So I'm on the right show. I usually do a cup of English breakfast in the morning, and sometime in the middle of the day, I like to have a cup of green tea. So that's what I've got with me now.
Oh, I love it. So, and I don't know how many people are fans of tea. So I'm not a coffee drinker. I tried to drink coffee in college when I, had to stay up late and study, and it did the opposite. Like I would totally just fall asleep, and then I had to wake up and be up for the next 2 days.
So I will tell you, I'm not a coffee drinker either. I mean, and I do have it occasionally, like once a quarter actually, but because it does too much to me, right? Like I started drinking coffee when I lived in New York, and I tell people I developed an eye twitch because it just did something different to me. So just a little bit of caffeine is just way too much for me. So I stick with the tea.
Yeah, no, me too. And I think too, because and you have Caribbean roots as well. So Jamaicans, we drink tea morning and night.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily midday, but definitely morning and night. But sometimes midday too. Like tea is the end all, go all, be all cure for like everything.
Exactly.
So back to the business at hand. Tell us more about. So, are you guys providing any type of funding for businesses right now? Particularly, oh man, I think there's just a lot. I'm even confused on some of the things that are happening because we had the PPP for small businesses the first round, and we know how that went initially, and then eventually it opened back up, and people were able to get some funding, and then the states was able to issue money to different counties and municipalities to also offer funding. And now, of course, more recently, we've had the second round of PPP. And then just this week, President Biden announced a specific window of time for small businesses, which was like a 14-day window. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh, is this a third amount of money or is this still the second? So maybe you have some clarification to provide our listeners that are out there that are, and then the whole forgiveness thing. I don't even know if you have any information on that.
So I am not the expert on the PPP loans, but
Okay.
What I can tell you is we know that there's a whole lot of need out there, right? Which is why all of these rounds keep coming at us. And what we are able to do as the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade, which is a subsidiary of the Opalocka Community Development Corporation, we have loans that we are putting kind of on the street and putting into the hands of small business owners. So particularly, what we're really excited about right now is that we have the Black Business Loan Program. So this is a statewide program that comes through the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. And so they've made us an administrator. There's only 3 administrators around the state. And so we are one of those 3. And so we are providing people with loans anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000. I don't have to tell you this. We know how hard it is for Black business owners to get loans at traditional banks. And even if you get the loans, oftentimes your interest rate might be higher. And that's a problem because we have all of these really great businesses that are unable to see because they don't have the capital that they need. They're unable to expand the way other businesses are. And so we really want to help provide kind of that gap and really jump in and help get Black business owners the capital that they need in order to strengthen their businesses. And so while PPP is not my area of expertise, I can talk about what we're doing and how we can help many of these small business owners who are looking to access funds. Because even in addition to that, what I will say about PPP is that we know that there are a lot of businesses, a lot of Black businesses who are unable to qualify for PPP loans because they didn't have their books in order, right? So they just sometimes they run a different type of shop in the sense that, it's already hard to access this funding from banks. And so they are not keeping books the way they need to. They've not had the technical assistance and the support in order to teach them how to do it. And so, what's great about the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade is that, you might come to us, you will tell us your great idea, you will show us where you're making the money, and you don't necessarily have the books behind you. And so not only do we give people loans, but we also couple that with technical assistance. So education, putting them in contact with the right experts to help strengthen their business. So again, you might come in, have this really great business model, really good cash flow, but you don't have the books, so you can't qualify for a loan with the Chase or Bank of America. We might be able to get you a loan, but we're also going to get you the technical assistance that you need so that then one day you might be able to go to Bank of America and a Chase and get a loan, because now we've given you the money to invest. We've given you the knowledge to strengthen your business. And so now you walk away a few years later with this strengthened business, more cash flow. And so now you can go and expand even further if that's what you're interested in doing.
No, I think that's awesome. So, because we know that is a huge challenge, whether it's applying for a loan, trying to get certified to do business with different entities, even applying for some of the grants. I think a lot of businesses missed out and are missing out on even some of the corporate grants that have come out as a result of both the pandemic and the whole racial justice wave that we've been experiencing. So even businesses are not, so I know we run a different shop, but have you guys seen any improvements in businesses since this pandemic and everything that's been happening?
So what I will say is you see people who want to improve, right? And so people are recognizing, or business owners are recognizing, that they're missing out on some funding because they don't have their books in order. So I think what we're seeing is a lot of folks who are coming through our doors who are interested in saying, okay, well, how do I strengthen my books? How do I position myself so that when this opportunity does come down the pipeline, I'm ready to take advantage of it? And the good news, you started off with, we're already in the second round of PPP. Who knows, there might be, another round,
Sure.
Who knows, a third round. So, it's not like it was a one and done opportunity. And so, it's given some businesses time to maybe fix some things that they needed to. And so that's where we come in, because even if you don't come to us for a loan, right, we still want to work with businesses to help strengthen them. And that could be anything from marketing to accounting to, operations of your business. I mean, you come to us and let us know what struggle you're going through. We want to put you in contact with the right experts, or in some cases, we can even do some of that counseling in-house.
Now, when you say put them in right, so let me for business out there that might be listening, what is the typical investment that they have to make? Say they don't need the loan, but they do need to get their back office in order. They do need some additional consulting services, et cetera. What is the investment that they should expect to make?
Oh, investment. Do you mean in terms of investment? Well, I'll answer it from this perspective. The investment that they have to make is simply time, right? So they have to be willing to sit down and meet with our folks. We will go through your business with you, and we're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb. So investment in terms of time, and also being willing to be open, right? Because I think the more transparency and the more we can put everything on the table, the more we can help folks understand what the problem is and then solve that problem. And then I would also add a willingness to change some business operations. And so we're going to make recommendations to these business owners. And so again, one of the things that I mentioned is that we will, once we make those recommendations, we're not going to just send you off. We can then put you in contact with someone who can really help you. And that's free, right? So this is something that we are a mission-based community development financial institution. So I like to say a mission-based bank. And so we've received grants and we've received support to be able to provide this assistance to banks or to business owners for free. So you don't have to come with money. You don't have to come and say, oh, I need to match what they're going to give me in terms of working with an accountant or working with a marketer. Now, if you do, that's great, but that's not our expectation. We want to be able to help you strengthen so that we can position you for growth.
Now, maybe I should take a step back. When we talk about not having the back office in order for these loans or grants, the different opportunities that come up, maybe we should share some specific examples for people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. That is such a great question, right? So that is not doing your quarterly financials, right? So that is a perfect example. That is not doing any financials at all. We have plenty of people who come through our desk or come through our offices, and they might have stuff written down, or they're using a basic Excel spreadsheet when they've got a really great business. And again, part of this is that they just don't have the experience, and they don't have the knowledge in order to figure out how they can automate some of this stuff, how they can make sure that they can easily run financials, how they can make sure that they are matching up their expenses and their revenues, and just make sure that they are, running everything in terms of the back end, and just making sure that they've got solid financials in front of them. Because as we know, when you go to a large bank, they want all the numbers, right? They want to see how you're doing. They want to see the success of your business. They want to see how you're managing your money, right? They want to see what investments you're putting into your business. And so oftentimes that is telling with the financials that you pull together. And so if you're running your business with a basic Excel spreadsheet, you probably are not able to do all of that sophisticated analysis that a QuickBooks might be able to do, or an accountant might be able to do. And so again, it's just kind of lack of knowledge, and a lot of people are intimidated by QuickBooks. A lot of people are intimidated by an accountant, because now I've got to open up my complete shop. And so, but the reality is that once you start to dig into that, then you can really understand what those growth opportunities look like for you.
But I encourage people, you want to open up your complete shop, because how do you, number one, understand your growth strategy. Number two, understand your cash flow. Number three, understand where you're spending the most money, or where you're saving the most money, where you can expand. How do you know when it's time that you're able to hire more people based on your cash flow and your resources, or get more equipment? So, it's actually important for anyone who's listening out there that may be having these challenges. It's actually important that you do open your shop up, and you look into, and you not only look into it one time to qualify for these types of funding opportunities, but this should be an ongoing, even if it's a quarterly look at your business. That's what you should be doing as an entrepreneur.
I can't agree more, right? So I'm a huge believer that we all know we weren't born with all the knowledge. And the beauty is that, my friend over here might have knowledge in accounting, and my friend over here might have knowledge in marketing, or maybe somebody put me in contact with someone who knows insurance. And so the beauty is that I get to learn from them, and they get to help strengthen my business, because at the end of the day, that only allows me to do more. So the reality is that we can't stay closed, and we can't kind of keep it all to ourselves and not want to open it up. We've got to be willing to take advice from people and share with other people, because that's how we're going to learn.
Absolutely. Now, is this only for Miami-Dade or North Miami-Dade County businesses?
Good question. We actually just launched, or we just expanded our shop. So while our business is based in North Miami-Dade, and we were previously serving all of Miami-Dade County, we now are also serving Broward and Palm Beach County. So if there are any businesses who are listening in Broward and Palm Beach, please come knocking at our doors. We have funds, so we can support you.
No, that's awesome. So let me ask you, because you said it was two others in the state, and I know we have here in Palm Beach County, we have the Black Business Investment Corporation as well. And then there's the BBIF out of Orlando. Yep. Are you guys a part of the same network, or?
So we're part of the CDFI network, right? So the idea that all of us kind of are CDFI certified by the U.S. Treasury. I am not familiar, so I don't know if they are all administrators of the Black Business Loan Program. So I wouldn't be able to tell you that. But again, we are all CDFIs. And so while the Black Business Loan Program might be one source of funding for us, we also have other sources of funding, where people might walk through our doors and, they might not be a Black business owner, right? They might, be Latino or whatever it is. We have pots of funding where we can support those small business owners, and similar to the CDFIs in Palm Beach and throughout the state, they all have other, buckets of money that they can pull from to help support small business owners.
Okay, that's good to know. So what about someone who says, I don't really want a loan because I don't want that liability. I don't want to have to worry about paying it back. I want a grant. Or they may confuse the loan with grant because of the whole forgivable thing that's going on with PPP and some of the other funds, where some things are forgivable, some things are not forgivable. Can you kind of shed some light on kind of some of those differences, and then what maybe some of the risks or not so risky impacts are for those who decide to take a loan versus waiting around for a potential grant to come up?
Absolutely. So of course, people want free money, right? I want free money. Can I get some? We all want some free money. But the reality is that it's harder to come by, and so oftentimes the way businesses will expand is that they do it through loans. But again, this idea is that hopefully you have the revenue coming in where you can support the debt service. And so what we're going to do is when we sit down with you, we're going to make sure that you can actually pay the loan back, and we're not going to give you more than you can actually carry. At the end of the day, we are mission based. Our goal is bigger than any one business. Our goal is really to help support the community, help build up the business community within the South Florida area. And so we're going to sit down and talk through all of that with the business owners that we work with, right? So we want to talk to you about kind of what your financial position is, the amount of debt service that we think that you can carry. We're going to talk to you about, how you plan to use that money, right? Because people come in thinking, everyone comes in thinking, I need $100,000. And we will sit down with you and say, okay, well, let's talk this through and let's figure out what makes sense. And let's, look at your finances so we can also figure out what makes sense for you. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And then, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things about us is that at the end of the day, we really want to help these small businesses be successful. So if someone comes into our doors and they found a grant opportunity and, they really want help positioning themselves so that they can be successful in this grant opportunity, we'd love to help you with that at the end of the day. So we want to help small businesses access grants if those opportunities come about, but know that we are kind of an additional funding source through loans only right now to really help those business owners who are ready to take on take on a loan, help them kind of move to the next level.
No, that's good stuff. Well, what I want to add to this conversation, because, and for those, especially if you're in Broward County or if you're looking to do business in Broward County, but beyond that, there's some other important information that's in this email I received from Broward County's Business Assistance Weekly Newsletter. And they sent out an email a couple of days ago that says that there's $5.9 million available to help businesses. Repeat that, $5.9 million available to help businesses. And so some of the things that they included, of course, the PPP, which was the loan application period that's effective from February 24th through March 31st. And this is for those who have less than 20 employees. And this is opening to be able to serve more underserved small businesses. And they've actually extended the terms a little bit. So I want to just kind of go over some of the terms. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals will be able to receive more financial support. An exclusionary restriction on PPP access for small business owners with prior non-fraud felony convictions consistent with the bipartisan congressional proposal will be eliminated. PPP access restrictions on small business owners who have struggled to make student loan payments by eliminating student loan debt delinquency as a disqualifier to participating in the PPP will be eliminated, and access to non-citizen small business owners who are lawful U.S. residents by clarifying that they may use individual tax identification number, the ITIN, to apply for the PPP will be allowed. So those are actually some significant changes that they've made to eliminate some of the barriers that existed before for this PPP. But again, it's a very short window of opportunity. Now, I don't know what happens after the 31st if you want to apply and do these. I don't know if this criteria goes out the window. I don't know. But at least you have I'm sorry, not the 31st, actually. It was till, 14 days. So it's 14 days from the 24th. So through March something, whatever, 14 days after.
That sounds like the first or second week of March, yeah.
Yeah, about the second week of March. So not the 31st. I think the deadline for the complete second round of PPP funding is March 31st. I wanted to bring that one up. And then there is a grant opportunity. So there is a grant opportunity for those who are listening. Let me just go down. The Stavros Niachos Foundation, SNF, I don't know if I pronounced it right, SNF, Small Business Growth and Recovery Grant Program. So it's the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, and the Stavros Niatros Foundation has announced a grant to help U.S. small businesses, especially those owned by people of color, women, and veterans, as well as those in lower income communities, find their footing in the current challenging economic landscape, up to $20,000. The grant focuses primarily on businesses within traditionally underserved communities. Qualified businesses have been operational for at least 1 year and generate no more than $3 million in gross revenue. Small businesses are strongly encouraged to apply and will be given priority. And the application will remain open from February 17th through March 19th, 11:59. So, and I believe that website is equivico.com, EQUIVICO.com. So I just want to make a few of those announcements for people who are looking for funding opportunities in addition to what Nakisha is talking about here. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are open to all 3 counties. So if you're a Black business owner, make sure you check out Nakisha, and the website is scrolling in the ticker below. But also, the PPP is still open for a couple of weeks, as well as this grant opportunity that I just announced. So, there are different opportunities that are coming up, and people just have to, I think the biggest thing that I can take away from you today, Nakisha, is people need to be ready.
Yes, that is a perfect takeaway. Yes.
You got to stay ready. So what else are you guys doing over in Opalocka? Because I know Opalocka is like having this resurgence. I'm excited to see it. I'm here for it. Tell us what else is happening in the Opalocka community.
We are trying. So I would say that we're really excited about workforce development. So I think similar to small business development right now, a big part of, or a big result or effect of this pandemic is a lot of people losing their jobs. Yeah. And so how do we help get people back into jobs? And particularly, how do we get them in living wage jobs? How do we address the number of people in South Florida who are working these really low-paying jobs and can't afford affordable housing, right? So how do we help give them the skills that they need so that they can then go on and have these living wage jobs so that they can actually support themselves and their families? So right now, at least the Opalocka CDC, we're in the process of really building that out and figuring out how best we can support our community from this perspective, because the reality is that affordable housing is great, but if you don't have a job, you can't afford affordable housing, right? And so having a well-paying job is really it's key to the life that you're going to live. And so we talk about, healthy communities and happy communities. That starts with home, right? You have to bring a certain amount home so that you can live and you're not stressing out every single day. And so we really want to help this community level up, I would say. And so we're trying to help them level up, one, by getting skills, so technical skills. We are offering IT courses. We're looking to expand, hopefully, to healthcare and logistics. And we're also working with a construction education partner so that we can, again, help folks level up in their skills. We're looking at providing soft skills to folks. And then we want to help with job placement. And then once you've got the job, we are helping with success coaching. So how do we help people once they get the role? Because we know that if your family didn't work in a professional job, sometimes you just don't know corporate culture, and you don't know, what is expected of you, or you don't know, you just don't know what to expect. And so you'll have a mentor, you'll have a success coach is what we call it, who will work with you for up to 6 months to be there to help guide you through the way, so that hopefully that job is a long-term one.
Well, let me impart this on you, Nikisha. You know you weren't prepared for this.
I'm ready.
I actually asked this to the Florida Chamber of Commerce Economic Development specialist who spoke to the Chamber of Palm Beach the other day.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Why are we not training our people in cannabis?
Yes. It is growing.
It is a growing industry. And I'd love to talk to you offline about how Cannabisiac can partner with your organization to bring job training and career opportunities in the cannabis space, particularly in our communities. We're not talking about that. We're not getting people trained up. There are different jobs opportunities, from testing labs to dispensaries to growing and cultivating agriculture. We grow hemp here in the state of Florida. There's so many opportunities, and we're not having this conversation in our community. And there are going to be opportunities from various income levels, right? As people are starting businesses, as they have these multi-state operators that are moving into our communities and opening dispensaries all over the place, who are they hiring? Who are they training?
So I would love to have that conversation with you. You're right. That is, so it is such a, it's in such a growth, it's in a, young stage right now. And I've definitely heard conversations about it, but I would love to talk to you more about it. I'd love to understand what the opportunity is. And I would love to figure out, what the job opportunities are for folks, right? And what does that training look like right now, so that once it is here, that we can go ahead and put people in those roles. It is here right now?
It's here.
Oh,
so hemp is legal federally because of the Farm Bill, and has been for a couple of years. FAMU actually has, FAMU and UF have the programs and the license to grow, and they partner with other farmers to grow hemp. So, and in addition to that, FAMU's extension has a free agricultural program as well that people can take. But that's a whole nother story. But medical marijuana has been here since 2016.
Wow. Okay. So clearly, I don't know much about the industry, so we definitely need to have a conversation.
Now, adult use is not here yet, but it will be, either through legislation or through ballot issue within, I would anticipate, 2 to 4 years. And if everything becomes federally legal before then, under this current administration, it'll be here even sooner.
Wow. Okay.
So we need to ensure that our community is receiving the training for entrepreneurs that want to pursue opportunities, which is what Cannabisiac is all about, as well as the workforce, because their jobs currently, they have dispensary agents right now. We actually on our website have a course that someone can take for $150 to become a certified dispensary agent. So they have dispensary agents that can, get certified and go work in a dispensary right now. You have bud tenders, so there are different types of job opportunities. But even outside of that, not even touching the plant, there's accounting, there's marketing, there's small business management, there's human resources, there's everything you can think of. So what I think ends up happening a lot of times, Nakisha, is think about the tech boom. By the time the tech boom took off, not everything, because there's still things being created, but a lot of the primary tools that we're using right now, the platforms we're using, were already being created, and our community is just learning how to code.
Yep.
We cannot allow that to happen with cannabis.
I can't agree more. Because I will tell you, anyone who will listen to me, I will talk about the fact that I love what's happening in Miami in terms of this kind of tech movement. But how are we making sure that the people who are here are part of it? Because right now it seems like a conversation that's happening with a lot of folks who are coming into our community. And I know that there are some people in our community who are really championing the fact that, we are not Silicon Valley, the fact that, we are Miami, and that you've got to, come into this culture that's kind of already built. But, when I look at my community in Opalocka and Miami Gardens and the areas around here, I don't hear anybody talking about what's happening, in the central part of the county as it relates to the tech boom. And I don't hear folks talking about how they can take advantage of it and how they can be a part of it. And so that's education, right? And so to your point, how do we start to prepare people for what we know is going to come down the pipeline? And it's not that far away from what you're telling me. So how do we make sure that they're ready for it and they're positioned for it once it gets here?
Absolutely. Well, I'm definitely ready to have that conversation with you and your team. And going back to the tech boom, it's not too late. But again, we're still so far behind the 8 ball, because you made such a good point. Oh, this is Miami and we're not Silicon Valley. Well, guess what? Whether you want to be Silicon Valley or not, or if you want to be, what did Akon just create? Akon is building his own crypto city in Africa, in Senegal, Africa. Like, he's building his own crypto city to look like Wakanda, but everything's going to be run on cryptocurrency. And he feels like that's a way for, his community and other than other African countries to be able to compete without being tied to their banking systems. And because of their banking systems, the opportunities that we just talked about in our banking systems where people are locked out, they can't get loans because of all these different red tapes and everything else, right? So here's someone who's creating his own cryptocurrency, building his own community with everything that's needed in it, his own city, and then it's going to be run on that currency. I would like for our communities to invent and innovate and think on that level and not continue to wait for someone to say, oh, here's an industry that just moved to South Florida. And I'm grateful for all the manufacturing and logistics company and the Amazons and the Aldis of the world. I'm grateful for all of that. And they're going to bring great factory jobs and great, logistic jobs and driving jobs. That's wonderful. But where are we on the spectrum with making sure that our community members in Black and Brown communities and girls are trained and ready to go for the next wave, and that they're thinking of and not waiting for, but they're also creating the next wave of technology, the next wave of industry, the next innovation. That is how we need to be training our people in our community, or at least shifting that mindset, that conversation.
Without a doubt. And let's be reminded, though, that there are many people in our communities that still don't have reliable access to internet, right? So we know that we're starting off way behind the 8 ball, right? We are starting kind of in the negative space because what's happening in the tech industry, that's moving forward. It's propelling. It is, moving like a rocket at this point. Meanwhile, there are organizations that are still trying to make sure that people in our communities simply have a computer, simply have reliable access. And this is, this is in Miami. We're not talking about go for it.
But wait, President Biden just came under fire for saying those almost exact words last week. People said he was racist. People said he was out of touch. People said, so what is the actual truth of this? Do we, I wish I could pull up his words right now, but he said something to the extent that communities of colors, poor communities, community of color, poor communities, etc., lack the access to, in rural communities, lack access to computers, internet, don't know how to use internet, computers, have food deserts, et cetera, et cetera. I do this work just like you do this work. So I'm in my head, I'm like, where's the lie?
I agree. He didn't say anything that I think is not true. That's what we see all the time.
Right. But for the rest of the internet, he was called racist, out of touch, who's advising him, of other black folks are like, well, here he is again with his racist rhetoric. Where are these black people that he's talking to? I don't understand. So it's as if we live in two different worlds and two different dynamics where some people, no matter what color they are, don't see what you're talking about when it comes to people not here in Miami, Florida, a metropolitan area, not having access to computers and access to the internet, and not knowing how to navigate computers and internet. Why is this in 2021?
I want to say maybe because people aren't connected to community. Maybe they, people live in their bubbles. Let's be honest, right? Like it is easy to live in a bubble in your, high income community and just simply hang out with your friends and not be exposed to other people. And so if that is how people choose to live their lives, then they choose to put up blinders and they simply don't know what else is happening in the world around them. And it's a whole lot happening, right? I'm sure there's tons tons that I don't know. But at the end of the day, I seek knowledge because the more I understand, the more I can change, the more I can do. And so, part of it is that people just, they don't want to see, they want to live in their happy bubbles. But those of us who are in the community and doing the work, we see it and we know it. And you would think that with this pandemic, people really saw it, right? Because I mean, as soon as the pandemic happened and kids, were forced to go to leave the
Virtual.
classrooms and go home, we saw that immediately when the teachers started to say, hey, I can't get half the kids to log on, and then started to realize what was happening at home. And you saw all of the stories that were coming out about it. And so I think if people didn't know that this was an issue before, we absolutely saw it come to light over the past year as we've tried to reach kids and make sure that they're learning. And so if people choose not to see, I don't know what to say.
So how do we, organizations like yourself, and I'm sure you're already doing this work, but other people in the community that may be listening to this broadcast or will listen to it, how do we take action? Because we can't continue to leave things up to government to fix it. Government can't fix all of our problems. And it can't be up to the private sector because private sector, we're capitalists. We gotta make money. So how do we fix this problem, right? How do we fix this within our communities? How do we ensure that families have adequate internet access? How do we ensure that not only children have computers, but adults need computers? Because clearly, when you talk about the work at home, it's funny because I remember I used to see the work at home ads and laugh like, that's probably some scam.
Me too.
And now work at home jobs is like the real thing. It's like a reality now because of the pandemic. So, but people are, missing out on opportunities because they don't have they don't even now when the real opportunities to work at home are coming up, moms and dads don't even have the updated tools and equipment and computers and software and internet to work at home. So how do we even solve this?
So this problem was not created overnight. And so I don't think there is an easy fix to it, number one. So I don't have a solve for it, but here's what I am going to say. Throughout this pandemic, I have, thought a lot about the role of community, right? And so I've thought about how I was raised in a community. And when I say community, my church community was connected to my school community. And so it was like a full community loving on me and watching me grow and nurturing me. And so I was fortunate enough to have that in Miami. We know that oftentimes can be more like a Southern thing, right? And I don't necessarily always consider Miami like the South. It really isn't. But there's this thing, I think, in Black communities where we really work together. We take in family members, we support each other, and there's this role of community in which we operate because we know that we are stronger together. And I think, throughout the pandemic, you saw a lot of individualism, right? Like it was like, I don't want to wear a mask because of my rights, right? Like there are all these things. And as I think about how we get over the pandemic, whole lot of issues, but I also think part of it is that we really have to think about our role as a community and how we do this together, right? It is not, if we continue to look at things from an individualistic perspective, we're not going to get anywhere. But I say that to say that as we attack these problems, we have to look at it from a community perspective. People who live in communities cannot simply live behind their gate, right? They have to think about their role in the entire community, right? They have to connect to organizations like theirs. They have to figure out how they are supporting people in their communities, right? How they are supporting organizations in their communities. And so there's a whole lot of people out here with a whole lot of knowledge. How are you taking that knowledge and sharing it with other people who don't have it? At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do through the community fund and working with small business owners and what we're doing with workforce development. Because when you give people education, that right there, it stays with you and you can do so much with that. Because also once you start to get a little bit of education, depending on the person, they might start to seek more knowledge, right? And then just imagine all the ways in which that can grow. And once you've got the knowledge behind you and you've got the grit and you've got the interest, man, you are going to knock down doors. And so maybe where once upon a time where you might not have the technology that you need. Once you connect the dots and you realize kind of what it is that you want and the opportunities that exist, you're going to figure out a way to get access to that technology. Because the reality is that while folks might not have technology, everybody might not have technology in their homes right now, there are places where people can absolutely access technology, right? That exists. But sometimes that takes a little bit of extra work. It takes that extra step, and it's not easy. I recognize that, but it is there, and that's just the first step to growing. And so I think, my answer to you, though, to the larger question, it boils back to community, and all of us have to think about our role in community. What we're doing to support community, how we can support community, and being consistent about that, because we are not going to change unless we all work together.
No, I absolutely agree. And I thank you for that answer. We must come together. And it's not to say that government won't do a good job in helping, because government has a role. As an elected official, we have a role to play. But I just want to make sure that people understand that we also have an obligation to our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, to give that helping hand and just get from behind the Twitter account. And really peek into the neighborhoods. My team members, when I bring on new team members who've never really worked in community work, and they think, oh, we're just doing marketing. I'm like, no, we're doing community impact every day. And when they start really getting into the crust of what we do and the organizations that we work with, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I've been living under a rock. I didn't realize all of this existed. I didn't realize all these challenges in our communities exist. And I'm like, yeah. And we work every day to combat them and come up with solutions and drive awareness so people know where to go get help and know how to access different resources. So thank you for all that you are doing. You and your organization, the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade, who has expanded their services across the Tri-County. So for anyone out there that's listening, please make sure you check out Nikisha Williams. Go to their website, cfnmd.org, so you can learn more and apply for the funding that they have. Also, don't forget to go back to the beginning of the video or middle, wherever we were in it, and learn about the PPP updates, as well as the grant that I mentioned earlier. That grant deadline is March 19th, so you don't want to miss out on that. Nakisha, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience?
No, I think we've covered it. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. I think, small business, if you know a small business owner, if you support a small business owner, send them our way.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it here. Make sure you please share this video on all of your platforms. We have this video on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, I believe. Nope, not LinkedIn, but Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So go ahead and please share. Make sure you check out tonight, Cannabiziac. We're hosting our Book of the Month Club. So make sure you tune in at 7 p.m. If you haven't registered, go to cannabiziac.com. Nakisha, I'll be connecting with you about Cannabiziac and what we do. And for those who don't know, we are the organization that's going to help you take your concept, or even if you don't have a concept for cannabis, we'll help you create one from conception to completion. We're going to give you that roadmap, or better yet, our green print, to help you get there. So whether you're looking for a career or a business in the cannabis space, this is your opportunity to position yourself now.
That's wonderful.
Exactly. Also, check out the Mosaic Group. We are your full service advertising, marketing, and public relations agency. And you can learn more about what I'm doing, which is always a lot. Your girl be doing the most at AnnMarieSorrell.com. Please tune in to our next episode of, let me announce this. You can also visit blackbusinessloanprogram.org to learn more about available loan resources. So that's blackbusinessloanprogram.org to learn more about available loan resources. So that is in a comment by Community Fund of North Miami-Dade. So thank you all for tuning in. Happy Friday again. Happy Friday, Nakisha. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to invite you back later once we get our little collaboration going.
Let's do it.
We'll invite you back later so we can give an update to everyone. So you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back soon with another episode of Tea with Ann Marie.